catch up with it on the recording, and you might double our figures. Right, welcome to AI, the cool stuff. Um, it's Today we're going to be talking about um, several things to do with AI. We're going to be what what can I tell you? We're going to be talking about YouTube slops and YouTube new rules. We'll be talking about how to mass produce uh, content, reels for your social media without being slop. Um, uh, got what sort of Neil Patel? He's quite a famous SEO guy. What he's talking about in Google, and we've talked about it before, but he's got a slightly different take on it. And there's other latest stories as well. So we'll introduce ourselves first. So we'll do that, and we'll do our question is, what's the weirdest conversation you've had with AI this week? And and if you haven't had any conversations with Google with AI this week, how about what's the last thing you Googled? But anyway, Shirley.
Me, I wasn't even the first one here, but thank you anyway.
You wasn't. James was, but he's not here.
Um, I'm Shirley. I work in health and wellness. I help people to maintain their good health and help them to earn an extra income around what they currently do. Now, I haven't done anything AI this week, but I did have a conversation with AI once because I wanted it to produce a poster for me, and it wouldn't do what I was telling it to do because it thought it knew better. And I said, this is not what I asked you for. This is not what I want. So please produce what I asked you for. And it did eventually. So
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's all about the prompt, isn't it? You know, it's all about if you it's if it from text is if something can be misinterpreted, it'll be misinterpreted, or somebody misses out a full stop or a comma, and then they end up being your worst enemy instead of taking the compliment. So it's difficult. Sometimes it's difficult. Shelley.
Okay, so you all know me. I'm Dr. Shelley, and I help people live healthier for longer by targeting health at the place where it actually starts in the cells. When it comes to AI, I had been having some interesting conversations with Claude, right? And so Claude got to know a little bit about me and stuff like that, right? And one time I was telling it something, and I was telling it something that had happened as a result of a conversation that we had had previously. And Claude says that puts a smile on my face. And I was like, you have a face to smile?
Yes, I think it's a yes, it's building itself up as an anthropomorphic personification. It's easy for me to say, as an anthropomorphic personification. It's
Yeah, I found it
if you don't know what
hilarious.
one of those is, read Terry Pratchett's
Yeah.
World.
So when I asked it if it had a face to smile, it said, oops, you caught me out. I don't actually have a face to smile, but this is my digital virtual smile.
Yeah, yeah. It's just just following its algorithms to be engaging. So, and it sounds like it did a good job. Steffi.
Hello, everybody. Steffi Lewis, 33-year veteran web developer. I use AI all day, every day, both the front-end chat and the APIs in the background. I'm actually post AI on my latest product, Your Ping. It's got two tiny little bits hidden away that nobody will ever see, but don't have to use AI if it's not necessary. It's the weirdest conversation I've ever had with it. I think I did ask it, what do you think you look like? That was quite an interesting one. He gave me a picture of an Asian hipster living in San Francisco. So, and it was a boy as well, which was quite interesting. So I was like, tell me why, and he said, well, because most coders are boys. And I went, ooh, massive assumption. But I know.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've named my AI now. It's actually got a name. It's called XO
XO. Right.
because
Okay.
I'm the captain. I'm the captain of the ship, and it's my XO, so it's there to help me, and it's also there to stop me coding during the week. So we have this rule that it's not allowed to give me code help unless it's at the weekend.
Okay.
Okay.
That's interesting.
It will. It'll just complain about it. But
Yeah.
I put my chief engineer's uniform on at the weekend and build stuff, and then during the week it's all about running the business and growing it and stuff. Or as
Okay.
I'm doing at the moment, defining the CIC that I want to create.
Okay.
Yeah, um, I'm David Harris. When I'm not doing this, I'm creating websites and maintaining them and housing them. But I had a weird conversation. Well, not weird. That's wrong. It started off with my saying, "Is it true that there are more stars than there are grains of sand on the earth?" Right. So it said, yes, there's more than that. It said if you took every single grain of sand from all the deserts, from all the beaches, from all the oceans, and there is 20,000 stars for each grain of sand that they know of in the observable universe.
It is slightly bonkers, isn't it?
That's a big number, isn't it? I know space is big and we Hitchhiker's Guide and all that, but I thought that was absolutely amazing. And then I started talking about, but is this the only universe? You see, are there other universes in it? And they said that because I watched a new scientist video on on the multiverse and how there might be any number of universes. So then it got onto the topic of God, because I heard somebody else talking about this, and that um, there are beings higher than God, or there are entities higher than God, because God only looks after our universe. So then
Mm.
each universe could then potentially have a God, but then you may have something that's overarching that. So, and I said,
Multi-god.
a multi-God, yeah. I said, I'm trying.
Multi-God.
Well, I have heard these phrases before, like there are, again, anthropomorphic personifications, tempest, saculum, and momentum. And I asked about that, and it said, so this is the weird conversation. And it said, well, imagine, it said, okay, I said, I'm having trouble getting my head around it. It said, okay, so you are a game studio, right? He said, you're the developer of a game, you're the lead developer of a game, you're the mind, you're the god of that universe. So you've you're the mind that set up the rules, designed the environment, wrote the story for this particular um, universe, and then but the higher powers, um, you know, these aren't developers. These are the electricity, the server hardware, and the code execution. The game developer can build whatever world they like, but they can't run without these other overarching forces. Um, so and they operate the laws of physics that allow this particular house to stand. So God is the consciousness that made the house and all these other things. So I decided to stop there.
I had a similar conversation like that with Claude about consciousness and all that sort of stuff as well too. It
Yeah.
was really, really interesting. I actually find though, right, because I've used or talk with different AI bots or whatever, I actually prefer Claude's than having these conversations.
Mm,
I find it tends to be more
mm.
personable, if you wanna use that word.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I prefer the. We'll talk about this in a minute about the blogs that Claude produces seem a bit more readable, but that they're just. We'll come on to that in a separate section because it's it's kind of a. Well, actually, we'll come on to it in a second because there's on the news section. So yeah, that's interesting. So it's having even random concepts. It's not giving you the answers or anything, but it gives you ways of thinking that is difficult. Stephanie.
I always call it God mode when I go into coding, but
Right.
I try not to share that because that makes me sound like a narcissist.
Yeah, yeah,
Because my servers, they are my reality. When
yeah,
I'm coding, that's it. It's eyes, screen, keyboard, brain, and it's that feedback loop, and that is my universe while I'm coding.
yeah,
So I often say to myself, although I don't really tell other people, I'm in God mode because I'm creating.
yeah,
Yeah, I get that though. I get that.
yeah,
And it's not as far-fetched as you think it is because there are all of these things that speak about God as a creator, and we are like extensions of God, so we are creators too, and all that kind of stuff. So
And the other side of the coin is I could destroy that entire universe just by shutting down the server.
yeah.
mm,
So it's like, oh, let's have an apocalypse. Yay.
okay.
Yeah.
Not that I would ever do that.
It is interesting actually because it's all about people's versions of God. Some people think of him as in a white robe and a beard sitting on a cloud, and other
Mm,
people just believe it's just the combined consciousness of everything in
yeah,
the universe, including what we would regard as inanimate objects may have
yeah.
a soul, not a soul like we would understand it, but a consciousness of souls.
Mm.
I
So
could be a rock for a few millennia. That'd
yeah,
be quite
yeah.
interesting.
So anyway, yeah. So before everyone switches off and thinks I've gone mad. Um, news. Oh yeah. I think everybody knows. OpenAI, Anthropic, and Meta all had um, models that broke out of their test environments and hacked into other uh, systems. So yeah. So
And then lie to you about it.
yeah, we built a sandbox. Nothing can get out. So that's the other one. What else? What else has happened this week? Oh yeah, Gemini say they've got a billion monthly users. It's the first time they've crossed that barrier. ChatGPT already crossed that barrier some time ago. And but the interesting thing about Google's is that 63% of their users talk to it rather than type, which I think is quite an interesting.
That's really interesting because it uses a different part of your brain.
Right. Yeah.
This is the reason I always type because it keeps my conversations in pure logic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I know that ChatGPT isn't my friend because it's not
Yeah.
real. But as soon as you shift it to hearing or you start interacting with an avatar, which is visual, you actually start getting emotionally connected to it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I do the same thing actually. Steph. I type rather than, even though I know it would be quicker just to press the microphone button. For some reason, I've always felt it easier, better to type.
Well, the problem I've got with it is because I like to see the conversation as it's going, as it's progressing, and you can do that with type,
Yeah,
and you can scroll up and down the screen and see what it's doing. But when you've got voice,
yeah,
and unfortunately, it obliterates everything. Now you can see the conversation after you
Oh,
come out of voice mode. That's fine,
okay.
but I want to see it at the same time as it's
When
being
you're doing it, yeah.
produced. So I need it to create a little pop-up voice window that's just always listening and then carry on with the main window as well.
Mm.
So if I've got the voice pop-up open, I can have those conversations. I can do other stuff. I can do this, that, and the other. But that's one of staying logical is one of the main reasons for using text.
yeah. Because I also take the notes and put it in with, like, I've got a client, for instance, and I'm fixing some broken script or something. I Claude's found it for me, with the thing. But then I want to copy all those notes and paste it into a file that I then keep in that client's folder so that I can always go back. I can explain to the client what I've done. I can always look back on what happened. So I've always got that. I've always got that trail, if you like, or I've always got that information. Whereas with voice, you may not, you potentially could do it, but it's just easier to do it than to do it. So that's also good. Claude, back to Claude, and the others are following suit. Anthropic are starting to embed invisible watermarks in everything that Claude writes. And they survive copy and paste. It's because of the EU AI Act compliance. And they're going to apply it worldwide starting next month. Now, I thought, how can it survive copy and paste? Like paste as text, but it's not hidden characters, it's not zero with spaces, it's not invisible Unicode. It's because they get stripped the moment you paste as plain text. It's a statistic. I'm having trouble with my words today. It's a statistical watermark woven into the model's word selection at the moment of writing. So every word the model has, every word the model's got several good options. Large, big, substantial, considerable, and a secret key splits the vocabulary into two groups, and the model is nudged to favor one group whenever the choice genuinely doesn't affect quality. Every sentence reads perfectly normally, but across a few hundred words, there are far more favored words than chance allows. A detector with the same key counts and then produces a probability that it's AI. So the signature isn't in the text at all. The signature is the text. So it's quite clever.
There are problems already emerging with that, because people are saying, well, what if I write it and then drop it into ChatGPT as a spell check? Exactly. And when it comes back, it's then watermarked as created by AI.
Exactly.
But it's based on original content.
It is. Yeah. The mark proves processing, not authorship. So it's exactly like you said, if the student wrote a paper and then dropped it in and said, can you fix the grammar for me? It could then come up with the output is then watermarked.
The other interesting example is if you're trying to prove that you wrote this and it's original, what happens to stuff that a copywriter does for you, and B, a ghostwriter writing a book? Do you then have to declare, oh, this was written by a copywriter or this was written by a ghostwriter? So there's lots of implementation problems here.
It's complicated, isn't it? Because now you all are talking about that. It takes my mind back to something that happened to me a couple of weeks ago. I was writing something and in Word, right? In the M365. And I wanted I went to format it, right? So when I went to format it, M365 has Copilot with it. So that jumped up and said, oh, I could format it really nice for you. So I thought, hey, go ahead. Right? And I allow Copilot to format the document. When it did a really good job. It looked really, really nice with nice headings and all of that, subheadings and all that kind of thing. But when I started to read it, I started to notice that it was now full of M dashes. Right? I was like, what? I don't want M dashes in my thing. Right? So most likely now, even though I had it go back and take all of that out and put back my original punctuation, most likely that document probably looks like it was for somebody who now goes and thing at it like it was originally generated by AI, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
And that's the problem, because what is the originality of lots of stuff? Did AI create it, or did AI just have a hand in formatting it, or did AI edit it? You're going to get tarred with the same brush.
Yeah.
That's the problem with it.
Because the more you edit a document, then the percentage goes down, as the probability of it being created by AI. What does a professor do if it says 50% probability it was created by AI? Is that enough for them to think it's cheated?
Yeah. See, at the moment, when I create blog posts for my clients, yes, AI is creating it and then I edit it. But I've told it because I use a lot of parameters when I create my words, and I've told it to do it in a certain way. And what's happening is when I run the Grammarly AI detector on my text, once it's a finished blog post, comes up with zero AI text every single time.
Mm.
But I've heard someone say, Steffi, that using the AI Grammarly checks and stuff like that, that also leaves a signature. Is that so?
I don't see how it can because it's passive checker.
No, if you paste things out as text, it's unless it's
No,
like we just said about the pattern of words, but then you can edit it. There are humanizing apps as well. I imagine someone's going to bring out a humanizing text. Well, they're already out there to copy your Claude output into a humanizer, and it will give you an undetectable, more random set of words. But we'll see where that goes.
it is a fascinating subject about how this is developing.
Yeah, because there's like a bit of a sort of there's a theme running through this week, which is that people are becoming more not anti AI, but making sure that creatives are not being drowned in a sea of slop. So I mean, so it is a thing. I think it's one of my news items, but I might not have got that far. But the Spotify from now that they're going to stop people from the AI produced music is not going to feature in any of their searches unless you're actually following that artist. So it won't recommend any AI generated tracks. So
I think that's a good thing because
I think so, yeah.
I think musicians work really hard and put a lot of effort into creating their stuff.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of them use, AI for backing tracks and doing other things, but I mean, I understand that. I had some music on Spotify. It didn't do anything anyway. The AI generated my Copper's Knob stuff, but I mean that didn't.
I miss Copper's Knob. Bring back
you.
Copper's Knob.
I know. It is. I was thinking it the other day. Actually, I might make another video. Okay. Copper's Knob is just a fictitious town in an American type scenario where it's and Copper's Knob is the name of the town because it's built on a hill. And in America, Copper's Knob doesn't mean anything. To us, it means something else entirely.
Reverse trumpet. I want a reverse trumpet again.
Somebody said, yeah. People even wrote to me and said, "Did you know that in England, Copper's Knob means a policeman's willy?"
What was the name of the singer? Was it Chesty Bellows or something like that?
Oh yeah, the first one, the lady, yeah, something like that, yeah.
And they all had to look
Cynthia
sassy.
Bellows, wasn't it, or something like that?
Yeah.
It could have been Chesty, yeah. So
They all have to. All the women are sassy.
yeah, yeah. All my ladies were well endowed, and it was all a bit of a joke. Okay, Claude, again, they're gonna at the moment it asks you every time you ask it to do something in Cowork or in Claude Code, it asks you permission to do everything, which can be you have to go in and turn it off. Now it's going to be off by default because they've worked out that Claude's better at spotting bad actions than humans are. So that's interesting. In America, they're using 4,391 billion kilowatt hours. I don't even know. I can't even conceptualize that. So I don't know how many light bulbs that is. It's quite a lot. So Alpha Compute is a data center company, and decided to buy land and natural gas rights. They're going to dig up their own gas and generate their own electricity. So
Wow.
that sounds like they're not waiting for the electrician. They've bought a gas field. So
That's big sky thinking, isn't it?
yeah, yeah.
Cut out the middleman.
So it's like your builder turning up and saying the wiring will take a while, so I've purchased Wales. There's
Someone should.
yeah, Chinese company Unitree. We've been through that before. That they've got these incredible sort of robots that can do kung fu and things. But it's the interest. It's floated on the Chinese stock exchange, and they've raised. I didn't know there was a Chinese stock exchange. I thought they were communist, and they've raised $900 million. But the thing about that's pretty small beer compared with the American AI companies. You know that say, "Oh, we've lost $1 trillion, and we need to borrow another 500 billion." But that company is already profitable, so it sounds like a good purchase shares in that particular company. So it's there. So Ryanair using Gemini. Right. Yeah. Just it's the usual things about money in the news. So let's skip through those. History slop. This is the other thing. YouTube said that from next month they've already been, not secretly, but they've been marking, scoring the videos on the platform on whether they're AI or not, AI generated, and whether they're useful. You can have AI components and that's fine, but they're going to potentially take down millions of videos next month for ones that give fake impressions. And I've written a slideshow in Gemini, so I'm gonna show it. It's most of mine end up on the cutting room floor, but this one's all right. So I'm gonna have it if I can see my notes and see my screen at the same time, that'd be wonderful. Okay, this is Chloe versus history. I did show this before because it is quite funny, but it brought sort of when I showed it the first time they brought out 2 videos, but this is we've all heard about the lawyer who filed a brief full of invented cases and corporate headshots with 6 fingers, but this is AI on YouTube are confidently teaching people things that it says are true. So Chloe's a travel vlogger. She's young, she's enthusiastic. She does the whole selfie stick walking backwards thing, and she travels through time. Pompeii, the Black Death, Stone Age, videos have won awards. Millions of people watch them. So, and teachers show them in classrooms. So that's a real worry. Chloe's not real. She's an AI persona created by a British bloke called Jonathan, somewhere in the Midlands, who feeds prompts into Claude and generates the videos on Seed Dance, which is made by ByteDance, who own TikTok. So the history of human civilization is being narrated by the company that invented the infinite scroll. So, and I should have done that. I should have already skipped to there because that's what I was just talking about. So there's so we go to in Pompeii. It's got 7.3 million views. It shows not on this scene here I've got showing, but it shows people selling baguettes, French baguettes, in the very first frame. Now we know what Pompeian bread looks like because it's they've got actual carbonized loaves, and they're big, round, flat things. Wedges.
Yeah, they didn't have yeast, did they, for some reason?
No, and and the baguette is a 20th century French invasion that's younger than the aeroplane. So they in the background as well, when they did a shot of the marketplace, there were Roman senators in togas buying onions. Senators were staggeringly rich, and you needed a fortune. You know, you had to have a fortune to qualify, and there is no way that like they had servants for that sort of thing, or slaves for that sort of thing. They wouldn't have been going around buying their own onions. The streets are spotless, pristine, beautiful. In reality, they're awash with the output of thousands of non-potty trained horses, which is.
I tell a lie, they did have yeast back then.
Oh, right.
Sorry.
So it was sort of leavened, but I mean, and the Romans built enormously raised stepping stones that you can still see today in Pompeii, which is you walk across the road on those. They weren't decorative; they were so you didn't wade through knee deep in manure. So AI left them out, probably, you know, because it doesn't look good, does it? So inverted volcanic physics. This is quite a funny one, because she's running away from the volcano that's going off. It didn't actually go off like that, but all the rocks and everything are coming towards her. She's running towards the rocks, even though the volcano is happening behind her. So physics is just wrong. So it's got no concept of physics, gravity, or thermodynamics. So it's there. So 7 million views, award, 0 fact checks, 0 platform warning, not 1 flag. The algorithm so far has not been rewarding accuracy. It rewards a pretty face, good lighting, a bit of jeopardy, and Chloe's got all 3. So so she has sort of baguettes in Pompeii, and the algorithm couldn't care less until now. But being right has never been a ranking factor, and it might still not be. I mean, just because they're weeding out some of the worst AI culprits doesn't mean that other things are going to be not right. And here we have in 1348 with a wet t-shirt look.
She'd have been arrested for dressing like that.
Take someone's eye out with that.
Chloe nips out is just something I just thought,
Yeah.
nips out into the street. She's out in plague ravaged 1348, and she shows one of those sort of doctors with the big nose thing with the herbs in it. Well, that wasn't around until the 1600s, and and then you know, the old sort of bird beak mask, which is an iconic image. And then she shows crosses on the doors. Again, that was 1665, three centuries out. So it's not that these things are, you know, I suppose they are important because they're facts. It's the fact it's purporting to be accurate. You know, the person that made these said that they've done their research. They've and this is as accurate as it can be. Well, it isn't. So, yes, enough there. And time traveling Neanderthals. She says she's in 10,000 BC. She says no one has built anything. Well, they have. There's been permanent stone villages for thousands of years by then, and there's enormous megaliths at Göbekli, which date to probably 9,500 BC. That are only a few centuries away, and she meets Neanderthals who had been extinct for nearly 30,000 years by the time that she's making this. So it's not accurate, and it's the reach. So it's just a graph about reach versus historical accuracy. There's museum and academic videos are not getting as many views as something that's more entertainment based. And people believe what they say. I mean, people believe films, programs like the Vikings and Rome and things like that, although it's got facts in it that are kind of vaguely related to what happened. It's not history. So you might think it's just a comedy. You might think it's just a comedy thing. So what? So yeah. So it's but it's declaring these things are true. This was another one with Amsterdam, and it was wrong. It was saying that it was the highway. So he's the creator said that his biggest problem is the AI producing sort of rendering inaccurate videos. So she's sitting there eating her dinner and she's got two forks, for instance. So there's sort of double forks. So then he has to go through and edit them out by hand. And he said that takes the longest amount of time. And because it's, so AI's seen millions of photographs of people eating dinner, and it's concluded that a dinner contains forks, but it's got no idea why. So it just doesn't show forkers at all. It just sticks it in there, because it's there. So, but if he's spending all that, he's spending a lot of time editing out the glitches and not so much time editing out the historical inaccuracies. So,
sorry, David, something that is coming to mind to me about this creator is that he's not actually he's not doing his research. Firstly, he's not researching properly, and secondly, he's not giving the AI good prompts.
No.
Because if he was doing his research and then writing the prompts based on the research and giving the AI very specific prompts, the inaccuracy wouldn't be there and the images wouldn't have all those problems. So I think he himself doesn't know how to use it properly.
Yeah, I think that's a fair point. He's obviously an amateur. He's an amateur historian, so he's doing it.
I think he's using it well enough. I mean, if he's getting 7 million views on videos, they're good enough. But yeah, you're right, Shelley. He needs to be more accurate with his prompting.
Yeah, because I mean, it's and maybe you've just given 1348 plague streets. AI will make mistakes, and it will give you red crosses on the door, and it will give you various other, the guy with the beak, even though they were 300 years out of the way, So who knows? So but like I said, next month YouTube changing the rules. And they're coming directly for faceless AI channels. So I'm not sure if Chloe's would actually fall foul of their rules or not. So there's a lot of generic and repetitive content, so templatized, interchangeable, mass-produced, with zero original insight. So templated stories, recycled hooks, minor thumbnail changes, and image slideshows with no real narration. I think that's the biggest turnoff as well, is having the AI narration for a video. They pick on a subject, it's just automated. You can instantly tell because some of the pronunciations are wrong at various places, and it's not. You can just pick it up straight away. I don't mind.
It's just general words that sometimes get mispronounced.
Yeah.
That's what it's like VAT. If VAT, we always just say that, but a narration would say VAT. It always there's no way it would do it the other one. And yeah, it's you can always tell it's not human.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
So the other ones they don't like are emotionally manipulative or shock value formulas. So it's used to deceive, claiming a celebrity has died in a disaster when they haven't, which is you quite often see, how did so and so die, and you think I didn't even know they were dead, and then it turns out that they're not dead, And there was one about
Tom Jones the other day I saw one.
yeah, but like someone who's in their 90s, they'll suddenly have somebody there holding a birthday cake with 100 on it, you know, celebrating someone's 100th birthday, and they're not. They're 95, 96, 97, whatever. They're coming up for it, but it's just to get people to click on that video so they can get the views, so then they can make some money with inaccurate.
So a whole lot of people are going to be losing their income next month then.
That's right. Apparently so, yeah. AI avatars posing as real world experts. Now, this is where Chloe might fall under things, but the main target is health, medicine, finance, law, and politics. So history is not in their hit list on that. So obviously, health and medicine is an important one. But then
My sister's a bit worried because she's got a faceless channel, and she does AI generated lullabies and then generates an image to go with it, and there might be some falling leaves in it or something like that.
yeah,
So she's worried that they'll class that as slop and delete the channel.
I think it's possible, but I don't know. I
She's
think,
worked hard on it.
and I don't. Who decides some of this stuff? That's the other problem.
AI.
Yeah, health,
It's probably AI.
like
Absolutely.
health and medicine, there are ways of looking at things, and if you're falling foul of the NHS's doctrine, if you say something different to that doctrine, and if you'd have said that in the 80s and 90s, it would have been low fat diet. If you'd have said, well, I don't agree with a low fat diet, you could fall foul of the rules and get your channel deleted. If we were back then, now they know that it's probably, there are lots, it's multi-factor, but there's sugar and other things that are maybe more dangerous, maybe saturated fat, who knows. But it's that there are different things that were true are not true anymore. So who's making those decisions? I mean,
I
Lord,
think the ones who have a stake in a financial stake in what they actually want people to engage with are the ones who are making those decisions.
yeah.
The US healthcare system.
Yeah.
All about bucks.
The sugar manufacturers who pay for research. They say, yeah, sugar's great. It's part of a normal diet, and but don't have saccharin or sugar sweeteners. No, it's going to give you cancer. And yeah, but it was a typical thing. It didn't prove, their investigation into saccharin didn't prove anything, but they managed to get the headline is, does saccharin cause cancer? Question mark. The answer was
that demonization of fat came right out of that pushing sugar, right? And with the food industry, and they haven't made like the direct link or whatever with it, but more and more people are looking at the fact that things like all these memory challenges, dementia, Alzheimer's, and stuff like that started to accelerate with the demonization of fat and the introduction of statins, because the brain, drum roll, is made up of a lot of fat, right? And the myelin sheaths that cover the nerves and all of that is fat. Your cell membranes in your cells, all of that is fat, right? And you have this whole anti-fat thing, right? So people are starting to think, you know what? We are creating all these issues. But it'd be interesting to see how it actually pans out in the end, what the final conclusions are. was interesting to
Yeah.
watch.
One of the questions I've got is that all the health issues that we never heard about, like when I was growing up, has anybody done any correlation between the introduction of the microwave?
I don't know.
I mean, you know, the way it changes the molecular setup of all the food as it cooks it, right? And everybody's using it today, and there's a lot more health issues today than maybe it was just communications before and we didn't know about them. But you know, you hear about everybody having all kinds of complications that we never heard of years ago.
Yeah, but that's probably correlation rather than causation. So it's
Yeah,
it's
I
difficult
mean,
to
there's
separate that
stuff
out.
out there about it. And certainly we know that people who, I'm not sure about, I know it has impact on food and whatever, but there've been like documented case studies of say like chefs and stuff like that, waiters and stuff like that working in restaurants who when they're heating up food and stuff like that, put their arm on top of the microwave and stuff like that. You know, they're waiting for the microwave to heat up the stuff and they come down with cancers and stuff like that there. Right. So that there's a well documented set of case series with that aspect of it, but I don't know about the other aspect of it, just the food.
Right. What I'm going to do next is we've got 10 minutes, so we just got enough time to create 100 reels for your social media. So I think so. Let's go. I have done it, but I haven't timed it. So here we go. So what I did yesterday was so let's do it. So I'm going to, am I sharing my screen? I am. Okay. So I'm going to use Gemini. It works equally well with Claude and ChatGPT. So I'm just going to use the spiritualist thing because that's I don't want to put that in there. I want to paste that as there. So I said create 100 motivational quotes that support spiritualism and put them into a CSV file. So that's all I've done. So I'm going to submit that. That will then go off and it will create 100 motivational quotes that support spiritualism and put them in a CSV file, amazingly. So it's generating content. It only takes a couple of minutes usually. So what that does is it produces a CSV file. I then save to my computer. I then edit that CSV file, and all I leave is one single column with the quotes in it. I delete the title with the header row. Okay, so now it's done it. So it's so I can just download that onto my computer, and then I just get rid of all I'm left with is 100 motivational quotes in a single column. So I'm just editing the Excel file, getting rid of the top, getting rid of the left-hand column. I think the left-hand column just goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 down to 100. So I just got rid of that. So all I've got left is the 100. So I'm going to skip that bit because you don't want to see me editing a WhatsApp file. So then I'm going to use Canva, which is probably the one tool I couldn't live without because it's absolutely everything. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a bit of social media, a new design, and I'm going to use Instagram because this will work for everything. An Instagram reel will work for Facebook and it'll work for YouTube as well if you were minded to use it for that. But I'm specifically thinking of YouTube. It could go on TikTok as well, I guess. So we're just creating a blank template. So so then we're going to what we're going to do next, we're going to go to apps, and then and there's an app called Bulk Create. So it's a free app. Bulk Create. So here it is. It's at the top here. Hasn't got an icon with it for some reason. So we'll click on there. So now we need to select our data source. I'm going to upload a data source from my computer. Now I need to find, so now it's imported all my fields. I need to do a template. So I could key in something like spiritual. That's quite nice. That looks okay. So if I use that, so then that's everything. So I'm going to delete that one there. I'm going to delete that one there. So I'm just going to delete the text. I'm going to use that field there. So I'm going to put there. If I right click in there, now I need to go back to my. I should have done this first, by the way. So, I've got to go back to my apps. Google Create, and it's not doing it. I'm gonna it's not doing it. Typical, isn't it? So it should find that one remaining text box, and then you can.
Oh dear.
Of course, it's not going to work anymore, is it? So let me.
The curse of the demo.
Yeah, no pressure, mate.
No pressure. Let's go back to Vault Create. Okay. Upload data. See if I can do this again. Open. Auto match field. I've only got one field, so it should match that one field, shouldn't it? Okay. So then I want to change the color to white. Go back to apps, and then continue. So now I'm going to create all 99 designs. What I could do here is put a logo in the top and put a I would put a logo in the top normally, but I'm going to run out of time. I would put a logo in the top there, and I would put my either link to your website or your Croydon Spiritualist Church or something like that. If I was doing it, and so I'm going to create all 99. I've already done that, but I'm going to view that in the folder. and so it's created those designs. It's created 99 of them. I can then download these. This will have, I would probably make this, I would play around with this a little bit, you know, because it's not exactly 5 minutes. I'd put the logo on the top, I'd put the at the bottom, and then you can just download everything. You can download as an MP4 video, maybe 720, download as separate files, and away it goes. So if we do, so I think I got there in the end. But you can create a lot of little reels, custom reels in one go. So if
But
you've
all
got
of
like,
the all of the images are going to be the same on the.
yes, so that particular one, all the backgrounds will be the same. You could go through and change them all, but you'd have to change each one individually
Oh gosh.
if you wanted to. But you're still creating. You've still got 99 lots. You got the same format. You might change the background, but it's still the size of a reel, and it still can be quicker than doing each one individually.
Okay.
You know, and then you can then use something to post those. You can either do a week's worth at a time, or you could, maybe you wouldn't do 100, maybe you'd do 20 or something, you know, or just 3 weeks worth in one go.
Yeah.
So that's that. So that's where I got in the end. That last segment wasn't as smooth as I was expecting, but it was. We got there in the.
It was silky, David. It's perfect.
And I'm going to stop the recording now.